rather big focus tonight. There's less than 2 years left for the next general election, but the BJP, in a sense, has already hit the ground running as it focuses on the states where it needs to amass seats from in order to at least stay at the majority mark that it is at currently, or perhaps even get more seats and cross that. Tonight, we're going to discuss how the BJP wins. This is a new book by journalist Prashant Jha. And this is based on Prashant's own reportage and his experience of reporting on the BJP, particularly in UP and Bihar and in other elections, where he takes a look at just how this election machinery works and what the prospects are for the BJP in the future. Prashant is here in the studio with us today. Congratulations, Prashant. It's quite an achievement to get a book out while you're reporting as well. Journalist Swati Chaturvedi also here with us. Pawan Khera of the Congress Party. We're joined by Dr. Chandan Mitra of the BJP and Mr. Pawan Verma of the JDU. Let me begin by asking the author. Prashant, you said right in the beginning of the book that this is the BJP's golden period. Less than 10 years ago, the party was being written off and nobody could have imagined that the BJP would be winning the kind of majority it did today. And now they're looking to win every level of elections from parliament to panchayat. It's interesting that we're talking about this on a day when they've actually had a setback in the Delhi University elections. You think that would have hurt? And that would have certainly been something on their radar as well.
So I think, what we have seen of Narendra Modi and Amit Shah over the past few years is that they take every election seriously. Modi in one of his private conversations told an aide that Chunav Jang hai aur main Senapati hu. So any defeat would have hurts. But having said that, I think we have to look at the larger trend. And the larger trend has been of electoral success, is the fact that BJP today is the country's strongest party. It is politically dominant. It has captured institutions from presidency to vice presidency, of course, central government, many state governments. So we are looking at a period of BJP's dominance, which some analysts would even go on to call a hegemonic period for the BJP. Does this mean that BJP cannot be beaten at all? That's not what I'm suggesting in the book. I am looking at the sources of their strength, but I am also looking at the sources of their vulnerability. In a multi-party democracy, in a fragmented polity, in a polity where there are, there is opposition, with vibrant opposition, there is discontent, there are social contradictions, there are caste contradictions, there are class contradictions. It is not inevitable that BJP will stay in power forever. But this book, what it does is that it looks at certain elections, it looks at BJP's current moment of dominance and what has led to it.
Well, Chandan Mitra, I know it's just a university election, but do you feel that DUSU, in a sense, has perhaps sent out a message that nothing should be taken for granted, even if it's a university election, but that it shouldn't be taken for granted that only one party will necessarily win, that the BJP is unbeatable?
Look, university elections are fought on issues that are entirely different from state level or national level elections. Much depends on the individual candidate, so much depends on the issues where students feel who is best placed to kind of campaign for their interests and their agendas. So I don't think we should mix these things up. There have been times when the NSUI has won and in the very next year or year after, the Congress has lost all seats. The BJP may have won and lost DUSU election, but I don't think it has any great significance at all. And I don't think it has any link to what Prashant Jha has written in his book. These are two separate things and really ought not to be mixed up.
Well, let me ask Pawan Khera then, on what Prashant has written about the BJP election machine. And it's got into fair detail, for instance, about the way Amit Shah conducts his meetings, just how organized they were, for instance, in Uttar Pradesh and so on. And I think somewhere, Prashant, you've written that there seems to be that kind of aggression lacking in the Congress. Is the BJP taking, is that a bigger advantage to the BJP, that the Congress and the opposition seem to be in a state of disarray, that you guys don't seem to want to win every election the way the BJP does?
No, I would comment that Amit Shah is a very overrated Chanakya. He's a fair weather Chanakya. If everything is going well for him, everybody will celebrate him as a Chanakya. I think a lot has got to do. 2014 should be that's the way you should look at how they perform even after 2014. 2014 was more than their victory, it was our defeat. People were angry with us. We were getting arrogant. We were getting very lazy, and I
Now
don't
you
think
have
we were.
official permission to say it after
No,
Rahul
no,
Gandhi.
no. I've always maintained this. On her shows, I've often said that BJP is becoming arrogant in the second year itself, third year itself. We took 7 or 8 years in becoming this arrogant. So, this arrogance of ours cost us dear, and they won. Because we are lazy or we are not yet getting our story right, possibly yes. That's the reason why they continue to win. But I wouldn't really overestimate Mr. Amit Shah's so-called Chanakya-like abilities. No, it's just that the going is good for them as of now. I think the story is ending, and you'll see different results in
All right,
state
Chandan
elections.
Mitra wanted to intervene, and I'll come to Mr. Pawan Verma after that. Mr. Mitra.
One sentence.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Pawan Kheda has mentioned all the factors except one, the leadership vacuum in the Congress party. Now, unless they get their leadership right, I don't see how they can compete with the BJP ever.
No, that's your dream. There is no leadership vacuum. I'm sorry, Dr. Mitra. We saw yesterday how 10 or 12 ministers and spokespersons came out lambasting Rahul Gandhi for one small speech he gave in a university abroad. So we know how seriously you take our leadership and how scared you are of this leadership. So we know exactly what we are doing, and we know who is our leader.
Pawan Verma, do you broadly agree, though, that this is the one, is the BJP the new Congress party? Are we going to, do you think, see a long period of BJP dominance on the Indian political scene, or would it be too early to write off the opposition?
Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate my good friend Prashant Jha for an insightful and comprehensive book. You see, the truth is that this book clearly brings out the factors that go into the working of a relentless electoral machine. Now, if you choose not to see why it works, it's your problem. But essentially, under Mr. Amit Shah, the BJP has put together 3 or 4 things, which is one, an overall strategy. Secondly, it has always had the advantage of an organized cadre. Thirdly, it has built the outreach of the cadre at the ground level. And fourthly, there is the TINA factor, that there is no other alternative. Now, put together, you will see that the BJP is a very formidable organization to beat in the current situation. And let me give you 2 examples. Most recently, that of UP, which Prashant also refers to in his book. It was clear for the BJP that they needed to have an overall strategy to win UP, where there were fair degrees of polarization. Now, they focused on 3 or 2 segments. One was the OBC, that is the non-Yadav backward classes, which in Bihar we call the extremely backward classes, which constitute some 30% of the vote, but which nobody was looking at. And secondly, they focused on the non-Jatav Dalits, which are about 10% of the population. And thirdly, they focused on the upper caste, which cumulatively amount to about 60%, 65% of the total vote. Having decided this to be their strategy, they worked on it for a year and a half in advance, while sundry other parties were either fighting with each other or not having any kind of organizational strategy on the ground.
I think that's an important
Or take
point.
another example, that of triple talaq.
No, I'll just come to the triple talaq example just a moment, Mr.
You know,
Verma.
you pick up the issues
Yeah.
where you get the votes.
Yeah, and no,
And then you pursue it through a planned mechanism.
also, I think Prashant's made the point in the book about the various schemes that, you know, the BJP launched, and I think you said the point is not whether they're working, but the fact that it is being loudly proclaimed that they are, which is an interesting part of the strategy. The other thing that Prashant's written about, Swati, is about Modi's own personal appeal. For the Sangh, he remains a Hindu leader. For the urban middle class, the guy who's bringing you vikas and jobs. For the nationalists, the guy who's going to teach Pakistan a lesson. So that appeal of Mr. Modi's is still, I think, largely very much intact. Even 3 years into his term, he's had a pretty long honeymoon with the voters.
Well, he's had a very long honeymoon, but he's like a hologram. People or his supporters project onto him things that I don't know whether he stands for or not. Because Vikas, clearly, which was the big thing that, you know, governance, Vikas, we don't hear about it anymore. And I want to say another thing about Amit Shah. He's a workaholic. But let's not forget that in UP, how they won was also by taking away agency from all the Muslims. You have now in UP a situation where there's not a single, you did not give a ticket to a single Muslim candidate, which is unprecedented. So, I mean, are we really saying that these kind of things are, absolutely, they could be brilliant strategy, but essentially, I mean, are they really good for the country?
No, but strategically, Pawan, let me ask you.
Was it good for Mayawati to give 100 seats to Muslims?
Well, that's not, but she also gave seats to other people. The
reaction
BJP did
brings
not give,
counter-reaction.
Mr. Verma, the BJP did not give a single ticket to a Muslim. I mean, you took away a
So Mayawati was trying to compensate. She was just playing open vote bank politics.
but you
But
disenfranchised large
let me
sections.
just
There's a
ask,
reaction to it.
there is also the issue of Pawan Khera ultimately, and I think that point was raised earlier as well by Pawan Verma as well, about the way the BJP conducts its campaigns. Even today, we've had this sort of unprecedented scene where you have the Japanese Prime Minister who's here. The Gujarat elections are a couple of months away. He's only going to be in Gandhinagar, or 3 months away, but well, very short time away. And some are saying, in a sense, the Gujarat campaign has been kicked off today with the kind of
Absolutely
pictures that we have been seeing. And so you have Mr. Modi there in Gujarat. He's even visiting a mosque in Gujarat. But you have Rahul Gandhi in the United States, and that just presents a very contrasting pictures of the leadership of the two parties.
No, I don't somehow draw any parallels here. Rahul Gandhi, before going to the US, was also in Maharashtra, Parbhani, and so many other, Gujarat. So, I mean, people keep traveling and talking in different parts of the world. That doesn't really, you can't compare the two. As Advani ji rightly said, he's a very able event manager. Now, you don't elect an event manager. Where is the governance? Yes, it's a very good, brilliant election winning machine. But are we electing an election winning machine?
Exactly.
Where is the governance? Now, demonetization stands exposed. GST, ask the traders what they are going through. Now, these are things which people of India are intelligent enough to notice and see through. They can't just keep getting impressed with this red carpet welcome to Japanese Prime Minister and 8-kilometer long Rath Yatras or whatever Yatras you have, Vivekananda. Now, 5 days ago, he addressed 50,000 youth. The result is today out of Dusu. So, these events don't mean anything to people.
Chandramitra, is the whole reception for the Japanese Prime Minister in Gujarat just ahead of the elections, is it part of that event management, quote unquote, that the Congress speaks of? I mean, has the Japanese Prime Minister's visit in a sense become another event, another political event just before a key election?
Look, I think these are distractions. They are nothing to, elections are not one or
I agree. That's a very honest view. Very good. Very honest of you. It is a distraction.
I agree.
Right? So, but I think a larger point needs to be made here with reference to Prashant's book. What he has very effectively shown is how the BJP under the Modi-Shah leadership transformed itself from being perceived as a party of the upper caste and upper class into a party of the poor and the less privileged people. And this was a quantum leap. And I think this was one of the most difficult tasks to accomplish. And when critics here say no development is being seen, you go to the villages and ask the rural people that are you seeing any development? And they will detail to you what development they have seen, starting with Ujjwala, starting with the loan waivers, starting with various development schemes in their villages, agricultural progress and everything else. So look, I mean, don't talk sitting in studios. I would strongly advise Mr. Modi's critics to go into the Indian countryside and find out for themselves whether this government retains its popularity or not, and he will come back to see that it actually has improved upon its popularity because the social base has been transformed.
Okay, I'm saving that sound bite for 2019 and when you're back with us, Mr. Mitra, we'll play that out. We'll see whichever way it goes. Yeah, Swati.
I have one point to make.
I can challenge you.
No, anytime.
I have one point to make. Yogi Adityanath will finish 6 months of his anniversary is coming up next week. He's talking about the loan waiver. The loan waivers to some farmers, such a mockery, 10 rupees has been waived
93
off. 93 paisa has been waived off. I mean, what are we talking about? 300 children have died. So, I mean, what kind of governance are we talking about? And with reference to Mr. Advani and how he's saying Amit Shah and Modi have transformed the party Nidhi, Mr. Advani actually groomed a whole second line of leadership, which we see today. Unfortunately, Mr. Modi and Shah are not doing that.
But
they're just putting in
what's
Pracharaks in
interesting
power.
in all of this is, Prashant, you reported on this extensively then, and that's reflected in your book as well. Right after demonetization, you picked that sense up right away that people were being inconvenienced, they were unhappy, and yet they were, they were willing to forgive Mr. Modi and they were willing to vote for the BJP, and they did. That's exactly what happened. So even though these issues are all there, what explains the BJP's success even after that?
So I think, to understand what happened with demonetization, we have to go back to 2015. 2014 was a brilliant year for Narendra Modi. 2015 was his worst year till now. It began with the Delhi defeat, it ended with the Bihar defeat. This was the year when Rahul Gandhi made his sharpest political intervention of Soot Boot Ki Sarkar. This was the year when the Prime Minister was seen with a suit plastered with his name. This was the year when the government had to backtrack on the Land Acquisition Act and the amendments to it because it was seen as too pro-corporate. This was the year when the perception was that the Prime Minister was spending too much time outside. But credit to the man, he reinvented his image. And what he realized was that BJP's baggage has always been, as Dr. Mitra said, that it's a party of the well-to-do. He did not want to get caught in that image trap. And it was to reinvent that image. And that he transformed, like he transformed it, if he was the Hindu leader between 2002 and 7, and he became the Vikas Purush between 7 and 15, he became the Garibo Ka Neta after 2015, while retaining those two old images. And how did he do that? He did that through the narrative on demonetization. The reality of demonetization, as you mentioned, may have been different. He did that through sharper and louder delivery of welfare schemes. And so, if I can just wrap up. So, there was this expansion of class base that happened in 2016 and 17, the result of which you could see in the UP elections. Along with that, there was a shift that was happening in the BJP organization. See, caste and class in India overlap very significantly. So, there was an expansion of the class base, and the BJP moved away from being just an upper caste party to embracing the subaltern of the Hindu fold, which is why today the BJP is a Hindu party, but it is an inclusive Hindu party. Earlier, it was an exclusivist Hindu party. This is the biggest challenge for the opposition today. How do you break the BJP's wide social coalition? Which classes do you target? Which castes do you target?
Swati, last word.
Well, my point is, he's reinvented himself, yes. He changes the narrative, yes. But finally, narratives have to translate into action on the ground. How much can people eat jumlas? Can people eat hate? I mean, the story is fantastic, but how many buyers are there for it anymore?
Well, that's for the voters to decide, and it is a fascinating read because Prashant, as I said, has gone in depth into seeing how the BJP machine works, and perhaps Pawan, the opposition, could read it as well, and maybe take a cue. Maybe take a cue. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us on the program tonight. That's it this evening. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.